Welcome to Humble Beginnings, the Undrafted Podcast. I'm your host, Rochelle Hamilton Jr. Preseason action is back in the NFL. You saw a slew of preseason games over the past weekend, and one of the instances that really caught my attention, well, we'll talk about the Broncos and the Vikings here in just a little while, but one of the instances that really caught my attention was the incident between Kelvin Benjamin and Cam Newton. And Kelvin Benjamin came out, I guess, about a week or two ago and said some pretty he dropped some bombs on Cam Newton and really threw him under the bus. He basically said things like he could have done better in Carolina if he would have had a better quarterback like Aaron Rodgers or Eli Manning. He basically deflected all the blame for his issues in Carolina onto Cam Newton and basically said, Cam Newton is not that accurate of a quarterback, and just threw the dude all up under the bus, man. And, I honestly didn't understand where all of this came from because if you remember, Cam Newton and Kelvin Benjamin, they were really good friends in the past. They used to hang out in the offseason. Cam used to let Kelvin Benjamin drive his cars and things like that in Atlanta. And, Kelvin Benjamin could hit him up for anything. So, for these two guys to be as good of friends as they were, and then for this to take the turn that it's taken, this tells me that whatever is going on between Cam Newton and Kelvin Benjamin, this is deeper than football. There's something there that's happened behind the scenes, and I'm not sure we'll ever find out. I doubt we will. But something has happened between these two young men for it to come down like this. And, I was really surprised because, first of all, when Kelvin Benjamin made the remark about he could have been better with a better quarterback like Aaron Rodgers or Eli Manning, it was like, bruh, Aaron Rodgers and Eli Manning, you hadn't even done everything you needed to do with Cam Newton. And Cam Newton, he's not Aaron Rodgers or Drew Brees or anybody, but Cam Newton is a really good quarterback. And he's a 59% passer as far as his passer rating goes. He's 59%. So he's not like, the most accurate quarterback, but it's not like he's a scrub either. Cam Newton is a damn good quarterback. And you got to crawl before you walk. And if you can't produce with a quarterback like Cam Newton, then how in the world are you going to produce with a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers? He says that he would have been better. He would have been a better receiver with Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, you and every other receiver in the National Football League. Aaron Rodgers is on another level. The two best quarterbacks in the National Football League are Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees. And, for him to throw Eli Manning in there, to me, that was just a dig because Eli Manning has had his fair share of struggles over the last few seasons. Let's just be honest. But, the funny thing about this is, Cam was Rookie of the Year without Kelvin Benjamin the year he came in the league in 2011. And the year that Cam Newton won the MVP in 2015, Kelvin Benjamin was out with injury. So, it seems to me like Cam does better when Kelvin Benjamin's not on the field with him. And then on top of that, dude, you came to camp a few years back at 280 pounds. You were 40 or 50 pounds overweight when you came to training camp. You can't do that, man. And then, as far as his accuracy goes, and this is a fair question, all those misses that Cam Newton had in Kelvin Benjamin's direction, was it the fact that Cam Newton was just missing, or was Cam Newton putting the ball in a place where he felt like a 6'5", 230-pound receiver was supposed to be? Because naturally, when the heavier you are, the slower you are, and it's going to take you longer to get where you're trying to go. You can't show up to camp severely overweight and then call yourself throwing slugs at nobody. And the thing about it is, Cam has had his issues with maturity. He's had his issues and his run-ins with his antics in the media. The incident after Super Bowl 50 when he just got up from the media interview after the game. He was disgusted with what happened, didn't feel like talking to the media. I can't really say I blame him. You just lose the biggest game of your life. You get humiliated on the field, and then you have reporters asking questions who are, in a lot of ways, they're redundant type of questions, and a lot of them are obvious. But, that's another story for another day. Then on top of that, you had the issue last year where he made the remark about the female reporter, and he was really surprised to hear a female reporter talk about routes. And to be honest with you, it didn't really look to me like Cam meant it as like a dig at women reporters. I honestly think he was just saying, like, it's weird to hear a female reporter talk about routes, because in a lot of instances you don't hear women reporters talk about routes and schemes and things like that. So to me, it seemed like to me he was shocked to hear that coming from a female reporter. I don't think he meant that in a derogatory way, but I do understand how that came off in bad form to the masses. I mean, I completely understand that. And in his position, you do have to be careful about what you say, because in a lot of instances, perception is reality. So Cam's had those incidences and a few more, but this right here, Cam didn't deserve this, because Kelvin Benjamin, I get it, his emotions were high. He lost his mom not too long ago, and the thing is, when he lost his mom, Cam was one of the main people that was there for him. A shoulder to cry on. They were boys, and he was one of the people that was truly there for Kelvin Benjamin. So I'm not sure where this whole incident came from. I'm not sure what's going on with Kelvin Benjamin that made him throw slugs like this to Cam. But for me, I don't think Cam deserved this coming from Kelvin Benjamin. But the more surprising thing, aside from the fact that Kelvin Benjamin came out and said this, the more surprising thing was what happened between Cam and Kelvin Benjamin when Cam approached him when the Panthers went up to Buffalo this past weekend for preseason game 1. Kelvin Benjamin, he's talked all this trash to the cameras, social media, and all this other stuff. And then when Cam approaches him to speak with him, he walks off like a little punk. That's the part that got me. Cam went up to him and just approached him and tried to talk to him. He had his hands behind his back in a very unthreatening gesture. He really just wanted to talk to him, see what the issue was, and they could have squashed it right there. Cam even went so far as to tell Thomas Davis Sr., Carolina's linebacker, who's been there for 14 to 15 years. In a lot of ways, he's the heart, soul, and the voice of that locker room. Cam told him, hey, man, look, I got it. I just want to speak to him face to face. So Cam's trying to talk to him. Kelvin Benjamin's waving him off and, really kind of just brush him off and everything else. And it's just like, bro, you had all this time to talk to cameras. You had all this time to talk on social media. Now, when you can talk to the man himself, you don't have time to talk. Like, that makes Kelvin Benjamin look weak to me. And you had a chance to tell Cam Newton all the issues you had with him face to face, man to man, like any reasonable, respectful man would. You had a chance to squash the issues face to face. And clearly, it's not like he's going to try to fight you or anything else. I mean, you got security, you got coaches, you got all these people out here on the field at the same time. So clearly, he's not trying to approach you to fight you. He's trying to figure out what's going on. And then you don't have anything to say in this instance. But when the cameras and everybody else were around you, you couldn't wait to tell somebody. So, when I saw Kelvin Benjamin duck and dodge, that told me everything I needed to know. That told me that Kelvin Benjamin ain't about that life. So, I don't know, man. I don't know what happened there. It's going to be interesting to see how that dynamic continues to play out. Well, really, it's not going to play out. I mean, those seems like those guys are done as far as the friendship goes. Well, anyway, the Broncos, they had their first preseason game against the Vikings Saturday night in Denver. And to be honest with you, my first thoughts as far as the Broncos go, the Broncos looked unprepared once again coming into this game. And the concerning thing about that is, this was a common theme all last season under head coach Vance Joseph. And, now it's preseason, so let me start that off. Let me put this in context. It's preseason. So I realize I can't put a whole lot into it. Can't look too far ahead because preseason games don't matter. But the first and second offensive units, they stalled out repeatedly with 3 and outs. And that brought back shades of 2017 as far as the offense goes. Kirk Cousins looked good in his 2 series that he was in. Kirk Cousins, he was 4 for 4 in passing, 42 passing yards, 1 touchdown to Stephon Diggs in his 2 series. Get used to that Kirk Cousins-Stephon Diggs connection because those two, they look like they got great chemistry already. Stephon Diggs, we all remember him from the Minnesota Miracle. Get used to seeing that connection because those two, I think Kirk Cousins and Stephon Diggs are going to have a really good year. I think they're going to be a good to great quarterback wide receiver tandem. You know, like I said on the last podcast, Minnesota is loaded. That offense is straight up loaded. They got Latavius Murray, Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen, Kyle Rudolph, Dalvin Cook. Minnesota, they've got a championship caliber offense, and we ain't even talked about the defense. And on the offensive side for Denver, Case Keenum, he only played in one series. I really wish Denver would have let him play a little bit more, but he was 1 for 4 and 5 yards in his one time in the game. I mean, he was in and out of the game quickly because, I mean, I looked up, Case Keenum was in, then I looked up a few seconds later, and it was like Case Keenum was running off the field. And it was like, dude, what happened? But I realized it's, preseason game 1, the starters don't play a whole lot. Royce Freeman, the rookie that the Broncos selected in this past draft, he had a good night. They were already clamoring about him all through camp. But after what he showed them on Saturday night, they're really excited about this guy. So as far as all you fantasy owners who haven't had your drafts yet, keep Royce Freeman on your radar because he might just be the running back he might have a sneaky good year this year in 2018. He went for 38 yards on 4 attempts and 1 touchdown, and that touchdown run was a 23-yard run. So Royce Freeman, I really liked what I saw from him. I don't know if he's going to be the guy to unseat Booker out of the number 1 spot. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, they hyped this guy all throughout training camp, and what I saw on Saturday night, the limited action that I saw from him on Saturday night, he looked really good. I liked what I saw from him. Now, as far as the eye test for the Broncos, I'll be honest with you. The Broncos, they looked pretty dismal for the first half, to really be honest. Now, like I said earlier, it's preseason, so I'm going to keep that in context. All is not lost because we got to remember, the Broncos, they were undefeated in the preseason last year, and we see how that season turned out. So if you look at it from this standpoint, this year is already off to a better start for the Denver Broncos than 2017. As far as the defense goes, Von Miller, he didn't play, so we've yet to see him in action. He's not injured. They just didn't want to take a chance at getting him injured, playing him in the first preseason game. So I feel like we'll probably see Von Miller sprinkled in this coming Saturday against the Bears a little bit, and then of course preseason game 3, which is the dress rehearsal for the starters. We'll see him considerable action in game 3 before that last preseason game 4. Now, as far as the quarterbacks goes, I mean, it's preseason, but I'm just going to say it like this. There's no other way to put it. It's time for the Broncos to cut Paxton Lynch loose. Paxton Lynch is simply not an NFL quarterback, and I really hate to say that. It's time for the Broncos to either cut Paxton Lynch or trade him and get something for him. He's simply not ready to be He's simply not ready to be a quarterback in the National Football League. He's got the physical tools. He's got a great arm. He's tall. He measured well at the combine. All that. I mean, he had NFL executives, coaches, and scouts enamored with him. Jerry Jones was ready to draft him until John Elway traded up to get him. I mean, Paxton Lynch had people clamoring to get him in the draft. And unfortunately, it hasn't worked out for Paxton Lynch or the Broncos. I don't know if Paxton Lynch, I'm not going to say he's incompetent. I don't know if he's just not able to catch on to the playbook, or is it more of a work ethic thing as to why he's not catching on. We've heard rumors of him not really studying the playbook outside of practice. I've seen posts on Twitter by some of the Denver media that he's just not studying the position, and he's not doing the little things that need to be done to be good to great at the position. The film studying the playbook, staying late after practice, working on routes, all the little extra things that you see quarterbacks let me rephrase that. All of the extra things that you see good to great quarterbacks doing. There's a lot of people in the Denver media saying that Paxton Lynch is simply not doing those things. Now, Paxton Lynch, he ran with the second team unit, and he played more than Case Keenum and Chad Kelly. And the whole time, his unit got 1 first down. Paxton Lynch finished Saturday night 6 of 11 for 24 yards and an interception. And, the sad thing is, it seems like Paxton Lynch might actually be regressing because he actually has looked worse coming into his third year than he did his first two, which is sad to say because that's backwards. Generally, you expect a guy to take a big leap in his third year, but for whatever reason, Paxton Lynch, it seems like he's regressing more and more. And to be honest, if Paxton Lynch wasn't a first-round pick, let's just be honest. If Paxton Lynch wasn't a first-round pick, Denver would have gotten rid of him long time ago. I'm not really surprised that he's struggling the way he is because he was already beaten out by Trevor Siemian last season, who was a 7th-round pick. So, with all that being said, I mean, I hate to say it, and I'm not a guy who likes to get on and just blast guys, so I'm not blasting Paxton Lynch. I mean, I'm just really saying what the tape says. Paxton Lynch isn't ready to be a National Football League quarterback. I'm not going to say he can't play. I mean, because maybe he's just one of those guys where it's just taking considerably longer for the switch to turn on. But generally, if the switch hadn't turned on by the third year, it's generally not going to turn on. So maybe when the Broncos cut him or trade him, maybe that'll set something off of him. Maybe a change of scenery will do him well. But as far as the Denver Broncos go, it's time for them to let Paxton Lynch go his way. Now, the other quarterback that played the other night, Chad Kelly looked really good considering the fact that he hasn't played football in almost 2 years. He spent last year on injured reserve in Denver. Chad Kelly showed that he deserves to be the number 2 quarterback for the Denver Broncos, at least in this point in his career. Keep an eye on Chad Kelly because Case Keenum is only signed for 2 years. And generally, a team doesn't sign a guy for 2 years with the idea that he's going to be a long-term starter. So I would keep my eyes on Chad Kelly because there's a ever so slight chance that if he can develop right and if the Broncos can coach him up right, there's a slight chance that he might be the starter, in 2 or 3 years. Chad Kelly stepped in with just under 6 minutes to go in the third quarter. And, man, let me tell you, homeboy straight up marched the Broncos down the field for a touchdown. Now, I get it. The competition that he was going up against defensively, these are guys who are going to be selling insurance or driving trucks or going back to their day jobs in just a few weeks. So, I'm not going to get too excited. But like I said on the last podcast, preseason gives you a glimpse into what teams likes to do. It gives you a glimpse into a guy's ability. It lets you see what a guy is capable of. And Chad Kelly led 2 touchdown drives and 3 out of his 4 series for the night. He took the squad at least 70 yards down the field. It came out Monday that the Broncos had promoted Chad Kelly to be the number 2 quarterback in Denver and put Paxton Lynch in the 3rd quarterback spot. So now with Chad Kelly being in that 2nd quarterback spot, now we get to see him go against guys who are more NFL caliber. The 2nd string guys who will be in the National Football League past the 53-man cutoff date. So, yeah, now we'll get to see Chad Kelly go against guys who are more NFL caliber, more NFL ready. Now, the thing that Chad Kelly the one thing that Chad Kelly has to work on, he's got to work on his footwork. His footwork was a little sloppy. Like my homeboy Alex pointed out, he tended to throw flat-footed at times, which really kind of made his throws come out kind of janky. But, once Chad Kelly gets his footwork straightened out, and I think he'll fix that. I mean, like I said, he hadn't played the game in almost 2 years. So that's stuff that can be fixed. That's fixable stuff. The one interception that he had came from him trying to do too much, and I think he might have actually even stared down his receiver on that play as well. So, but that kind of stuff, that's young quarterback mistakes. That's stuff that can be fixed. Footwork can be coached. But he had great arm strength. He had great touch on the ball. I mean, he put some passes that were in the bucket. He threw some dimes Saturday night. I was very impressed with what I saw from Chad Kelly. And to be honest with you, I wasn't really sure what we were going to see from Chad Kelly because he was Mr. Irrelevant in the previous draft in 2017. But you also heard some draft scouts who said that if Chad Kelly wouldn't have had the off-the-field issues that he had at Ole Miss, that he was first-round talent. So the Broncos, they might have a steal in Chad Kelly. But either way, I'm excited to see how Chad Kelly develops as a quarterback and as a player, and I'm excited to see what he's going to look like as the year progresses. Another player that caught my eye Saturday night was Isaiah McKenzie. And I remember Isaiah McKenzie last year. Isaiah McKenzie had me and plenty of other Broncos fans hot as fish grease last year because this dude had a serious case of Butterfingers in 2017. He dropped 6 punts last year, and, I mean, it was times where I was ready to give up on Isaiah McKenzie, and, I think everybody in Broncos country was ready to give up on Isaiah McKenzie outside of Vance Joseph because it was like after the second or third drop punt, it was like, bruh, like, dude, come on. And then on top of that, not only did he have the 6 drop punts last year, but he also put the team in bad starting position consistently last year. And he was a rookie. You know, a lot of that's rookie mistakes. And, you know, as rookies, you know, the NFL throws so much stuff at you. You got a lot of stuff that you got to process and digest in such a short period of time. Then on top of that, when it comes to reps in practice, these dudes really don't get a lot of reps in practice because you have to distribute the reps, you know, between, you know, 3 or 4 guys at the same position. So, and then they can only practice so long in the NFL due to union rules. They can only hit so many times. I mean, they have all these restrictions that they have in practice. So, you know, once you factor all of that in, these guys really don't get a lot of reps in practice outside of live game action. So that makes it even harder for a rookie coming into the National Football League. But anyway, Saturday night, Isaiah McKenzie, he ran a punt back for 78 yards. And on that punt, I mean, he showed that explosiveness and that speed that the Broncos have been wanting to see from him. And, you know, when he was running it back, I was like, dude, look at Isaiah McKenzie. I mean, this boy, he was running like he stole something. So, you know, I was really glad to see that from Isaiah McKenzie because it's like, okay, wow, like he's shown how much he's grown in the offseason. That's what the offseason is all about. You know, how can I as a player get better? You know, what do I need to do? What do I need to improve in? Let me go back. Let me watch tape. Let me keep hitting these reps. Let me stay after practice. And, you know, even when I'm away from the facility, let me go somewhere. Let me work with somebody, a trainer, a specialist, whatever. Let me do what I need to do to get better as a player. And Saturday night, Isaiah McKenzie, he showed that he's grown in the short time of this offseason. Now the key for Isaiah McKenzie, he's just got to stay hungry and he's got to stay consistent. That's going to be the biggest thing for Isaiah McKenzie. But, man, after Saturday night, that gave me a good feeling about where Isaiah McKenzie is because, you know, he was a burner at Georgia. And sometimes it just takes guys a little bit longer to develop and to put it all together. So maybe, just maybe, this is the turning point for Isaiah McKenzie. So as far as the Broncos as a team go after Saturday night, there were some things that I saw that were kind of concerning. But at the same time, you know, the Broncos, they came out on Monday and they said, you know, the coaches didn't game plan for the Vikings. They didn't put any specific schemes in for the Vikings. They really just wanted to go out and practice concepts. So they just put in basic vanilla offensive plays, basic vanilla defensive plays, and they really kind of just wanted to see what the team looked like in certain situations and certain concepts. So not to say that there's not some things that aren't concerning, but, I mean, you know, the fact that they didn't game plan makes me feel a little bit better about what I saw on Saturday night. So I'm interested to see what they're going to look like this coming weekend when I'm pretty sure that they'll game plan a little bit for the Chicago Bears. But like I said, you know, they took their first L in the preseason. They went undefeated last preseason. We saw how that turned out. So, you know, 2018 is already looking a lot better for the Denver Broncos. We're going to switch gears on the Undrafted Podcast. We're going to go to the Tabletop Chronicles segment. We're going to go to Tabletop Chronicles with Chef Rodaddy. And, man, I have missed doing this segment. You know, the last 7 or 8 weeks, I've done the biggest storylines from each NFL team going by division. And I have missed doing Tabletop Chronicles. Tabletop Chronicles is one of my favorite segments because I like talking about food. And you know, the thing I'll talk about in Tabletop Chronicles today is what to do when you're trying to eat better, when you're trying to stay within your plan and you're on the go. You know, all of us have busy lifestyles. We've all got stuff we've got to do. We got places we got to be. And it can be challenging when you're trying to eat better, when you're trying to eat right, no matter what your goals are. If you're trying to lose weight, if you're trying to shed body fat, if you're just trying to maintain a healthy lifestyle, it can be challenging to eat right all the time. So I'm just going to share with you two of the places I like to go when I'm short for time and I don't have time to cook. I don't have time to meal prep. And one of my favorite places, actually my favorite fast food place to go, is Chick-fil-A. Like, man, I love Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A is my spot because, I mean, not only is Chick-fil-A just like constantly busy, but the food is just amazing. And to be honest, when I first started my lost journey, I had to stay away from Chick-fil-A because I love Chick-fil-A. The chicken sandwiches, man, that spicy chicken deluxe sandwich, it gets me, man. Because, man, it's got the spicy chicken, the lettuce, the tomatoes, with that pepper jack cheese, and then you got the waffle fries and wash it down with the sweet tea. Boy. Yeah, so I had to stay away from Chick-fil-A when I first started this lost journey. Then I can't remember who it was. Somebody told me that Chick-fil-A had really good salads. So I was like, you know what? Okay, I'm gonna look into it. So, I looked it up and I saw that they had this Cobb salad, man, and I love Cobb salads. And with Chick-fil-A's Cobb salad, it's got like a spring mix in it, some romaine lettuce, grilled chicken, chopped up boiled eggs, bacon pieces, a little bit of cheese, and it's got some roasted red peppers that comes on it. And I mean, it's a great salad. And me personally, the dressing I like to get with it is the zesty apple vinaigrette. That dressing right there, oh my goodness, man. I mean, that's like Jesus dancing on your tongue, man. You put that on top of that salad, and it's heaven in your mouth. And now, what happened? The way I came across now, I don't even get the Cobb salad with the regular grilled chicken anymore. I get it with the spicy grilled chicken, and that happened by accident. One time when I went in there and somebody asked me if I wanted it with regular grilled chicken or spicy grilled chicken. And I was like, man, spicy grilled chicken, like I love spicy food. So I tried that on it, and I tried it with the zesty apple vinaigrette, and oh my goodness, man. I mean, it was music to my tongue. And the thing about it is the salad itself only has 430 calories in it. Well, then you put on the roasted bell peppers and the zesty apple vinaigrette, and that puts you at, I think it's like 670, 680 calories. And depending on where you're at, now, if you feel like you can't swing that, then you might want to look at another option. But for me, with the way I plan my meals and the way I do my caloric intake, 680 calories is not going to kill me, because after I had that salad, with everything I've eaten that day, I'm still going to be below my caloric intake. So you kind of just have to go by, what goes with your goals. And, like I said, for me, I generally like to eat 4 meals a day. I'll have breakfast about like 10:30, and then I'll eat every 3 or 4 hours. And so, I mean, I'll have breakfast, 10:30. Then I'll eat again about 1:30 or 2 o'clock, like some chicken and some kind of green vegetable. And if you're trying to lose weight, make sure you eat as many vegetables as possible. Like, try to incorporate vegetables in every meal, spinach, collard greens. And you don't have to cook collard greens like a lot of people like collard greens cooked. I cook my greens in water, and for seasoning, I put onion and jalapeno in them and cook them up. They don't have to be cooked in, the extra seasoning and the salt pork and all that stuff to taste good. It tastes just fine with some water, some onions, and some jalapeno for seasoning. It tastes great. So spinach, collard greens, broccoli, asparagus, bok choy, cauliflower. Try to get as many vegetables as possible in your diet, especially for men. Like, for men, if you're trying to lose belly fat, you'll definitely want to eat as many vegetables as possible. And on top of that, if you got a lot of belly fat as a man, that can mess with your testosterone levels. And I'll have to get more in depth with that. I don't have time to go into that. I don't have time to go that route with this podcast today, but I'll definitely have to get more in depth in that, because I've found out some interesting stuff when it comes to men and belly fat and how it affects testosterone levels and things that men can do to raise their testosterone levels and improve their overall health. So try to eat as many vegetables as possible. Drink a lot of water. So that's another thing. I drink 1 gallon to 1.5 gallons of water every day. So for me, with somebody with the way that I eat, having 680 calories in one meal is not going to kill me. So you kind of just have to know what your caloric intake is. You have to know how your body responds in instances like that. So for me, that's one of my go-to meals. And in the Chick-fil-A app, that Chick-fil-A One app, if you're an avid Chick-fil-A eater, you really need to get that app because, man, that app makes it so convenient when it comes to ordering your food. And if you're crunched for time, then you can just get on the app. That, like what I do, if I'm crunched for time, I'll get on the app, put what I want to order in it, Cobb salad, spicy grilled chicken, zesty apple vinaigrette dressing. I'll go ahead and pay for it and everything. And then I like the way Chick-fil-A does it because once you put in place order, all it does is it puts your order in the queue. And then they have another button on there where once you basically pull up in the restaurant, or if you're like down the street or around the corner from the restaurant, you can push like confirm. And that's when it actually puts the order in for you. So you get your food as fresh as possible. Like, I love that. So I can just do that. And then by the time I pull up to Chick-fil-A, by the time I walk in, I'll stand at the mobile pickup area for maybe a minute or two, literally, maybe a minute or two, and my food is done. Like, I don't have to wait in line. I don't have to go through the long drive-through line. And, I love that for Chick-fil-A. I mean, they're constantly busy, so that's great for business. But for me, I can just use that app, and then I can just be in and be out and be on my way. Like, I love that. Another place that I go, another place that's my go-to when I'm trying to eat within my goals, when I'm trying to stay on plan, and I don't have a lot of time, Chipotle. I like to get the burrito bowls from Chipotle. Now, the way I like to do mine, I'll get brown rice on the side because if you're not careful, Chipotle will give you a bowl full of rice with very little meat and everything else in it. And then at that point, I'm mad. So what I like to do is I get the brown rice on the side. I get 1 scoop of steak, 1 scoop of chicken, fajita vegetables, and I'll get the red hot sauce on the side. Sometimes I'll get a little bit of cheese. Sometimes I won't get any cheese. You got to be careful with the cheese intake because cheese, as much as I love cheese, man, cheese tends to have extra calories and extra fat that I don't need. So it really kind of depends on where I'm at on my plan for that day as to whether or not I get any cheese. But, whether or not you get cheese, it doesn't matter. Cheese adds some really good flavor to it. So I don't think it would kill you just to get, a few, just a dab of cheese on there. But that's one of my go-tos whenever I have limited time and I need to stay on my plan. A burrito bowl from Chipotle. Oh, and then another thing I like to get on there is the pico de gallo. Like, Chipotle has really, really good pico de gallo. So I get my brown rice on the side because I like to judge how much rice I put in there. I like to judge how much red sauce I put in there because you have to be careful with the sauces if you're staying on plan because some sauces, they got that secret sugar in there, man, and sugar is the one thing that'll hurt you. So be careful with that. So that's what I like to do, man. Just get me some water and I'm good. So Chipotle, they've got an app as well where I can go in there, I can place my order on the app, I can pay for my order on the app, and then Chipotle, theirs is a little bit different than Chick-fil-A. They've got it where you just set up you set up a specific pickup time, and you can just walk in there and pick up your order. So, those are my 2 go-tos when I'm on limited time, but I'm staying on plan, and I highly recommend the both of them. So, that's just that's 2 tips from me as far as the Tabletop Chronicles with Chef Rodaddy goes. So if you're pushed for time and you want to stay on plan, keep those in mind. Moving on to the Ballin' on a Budget segment, we're going to do Ballin' on a Budget a little bit different today. I got my friend Vanessa Brown, who's a realtor with August Gray Real Estate, and she's going to come on and she's going to talk. The real estate market in Dallas is hot right now. This is a seller's market, man. I mean, the market is red hot right now. The market is insane. So she's going to give some tips as to what you can do if you're searching for a home but you're not having any luck. She's going to give you some tips as to what you can do, how you can contact her. She's going to tell you all about her real estate firm, how they can help you on that road to home ownership. Even if you have bad credit or no credit, they can help you. So you'll definitely want to go pay them a visit, get on her website, just reach out to her. Great person, great personality, and she's very open. She's very willing to talk, and she always has time for people. She's never too busy to get back with you. So So I'm joined here with my good friend Vanessa Brown from August Gray Real Estate. How long have you been in the real estate business?
3 years.
You enjoy it?
I love it.
What do you like about it?
I come from a customer service standpoint and past, so I love being interactive with people and educating them on home ownership and what you can do and what you didn't know. So it's just good, just educating.
Okay. And speaking of educating, for a first-time home buyer or for somebody who's thinking about purchasing a home, what are some of the things that they can look at as far as how the process works?
Credit is key. Your credit score. I have lenders that can do home loans with a credit score minimum of 580. And I also have lenders that can do grant programs, free money that's out there. And that credit score, the best window is 630 to 640. I'll say 630 to 650. That window right there can get you some free money that you don't have to pay back.
Okay. And then also, well, we know that you have to have money saved to purchase a house. For somebody who's thinking like, man, I don't have enough money saved up to buy a house, or I'll never be able to buy a home because of financial reasons. What are some tips and things that you can give to them, and what's kind of like a ballpark figure that you may be able to throw out there to them to say, hey, it's possible, you just need to educate yourself a little bit more?
For one, I never like to tell anyone that I work with no. It's not a no, it's a not right now, and let's set up a game plan so you can be a homeowner. So the biggest thing money-wise saved up, about $5,000 to $7,000. Because that's not saying what we may be able to ask for in grant money that's out there. Also from the sellers themselves to say, hey, we may need an X amount to close. You never know who will be able to help you. So I would say of your own hard-earned money, anywhere from $5,000 to $7,000.
Okay. And from your vantage point, or from your viewpoint, I should say, what are some of the trends that you're seeing going on in the DFW market with it being as hot as it is?
Ooh, modern looks is what's hot. Millennials of the first time home buyers that are maybe anywhere from 25 to 35, professional people, they like the modern looks. They like the slate grays, the whites, the boxy type of abstract look. So that's pretty much what's hot. Then you have, depending on where you're looking to live, if you're more so of North Dallas, it's going to be more costly with a little bit of room. You move further south, you're getting less money and more space, more land, more house space. So it all just depends on where you're wanting to move and what is what you like. But what I've seen is more modern, and more modern is just looks like more price tags to me, more dollar signs. But I mean, that's what a lot of people like right now.
Okay. And as far as August Gray Real Estate, what kind of real estate services do you all offer?
Okay, well, we have an in-house credit repair. We represent sellers. We represent buyers. So if you want to sell your house, we can help you. If you want to buy a home, we can help you. If you're credit challenged, we can still help you. We do apartment locating. We do leasing of properties, and we can help you find a leased property or a rental home.
Okay. So y'all offer like a whole game plan for somebody who may just walk in the door and may not know anything about what they're getting into.
Absolutely. We are a one-stop shop. Like I said, we don't tell you no. We tell you not right now. We will sit down with you and make that game plan and what's the next step, and this is what you need to do. And not only that, just make the game plan. We're walking that game plan with you. We're still touching bases. We're still checking on you. Hey, this is Vanessa. I'm just, were you able to get anything done? Hey, let's get you to this right lender. Let's see what needs to happen for you to get that pre-approval letter.
How can somebody get in contact with you or somebody here at August Gray Real Estate?
Okay, you can contact me. My phone number is 972-765-8125. My email address is userealtybyv, so userealtyby, and then the letter V, @gmail.com. Okay, so I have a website. My website is realtybyv.com. You can go and search any homes in the Metroplex. And if you like it, you can directly message me there. That will come through. I answer phone calls, text messages. And then August Gray, our location is in Cedar Hill, our main office. It's 318 West Beltline Road in Suite 303, Cedar Hill, Texas 75104.
Y'all have a Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, anything like that?
We do have a Facebook. So I have my own Facebook. It's just Vanessa Brown. August Gray Real Estate Group has its own business page. I also have my own business page on Facebook. It is Realty by V. You can find August Gray on Facebook and Instagram. You can find me on Instagram just by my name, Vanessa Brown. And that's it.
Okay. And on this podcast, I talk about sports a lot. So I know your favorite team is, good Lord.
Don't you disrespect them Cowboys like that.
Oh, Jesus. So
say it with your chest.
Whatever.
Say it with your chest.
So with you being a Cowboys fan, what are you looking forward to from the boys this season?
Some W's.
How many?
All of them.
Ain't gonna happen.
You don't even know. You don't even know. All of them. What the Lord blesses us with.
Oh, whatever. Okay, so is there anything else you want to add before we head up out of here?
Yes. Give me a call. Let's make a game plan. Also, if you know anyone, grandparents, your parents that there's a house just sitting there, call me. I can get it sold for you in 2 weeks. So, I mean, anything that is real estate related, even if it's a question, do not hesitate to call. I'm very nice, and you know me, I'm very goofy. I love to let you. Just call me. We can figure it all out, and I can get you through every step of the way.
How fast are you seeing houses being sold by your experience in the area with the market being like it is?
I've seen it be on the market a day, and the next day we have a offer. Sellers taking the offer. I mean, it's quickly moving. Quickly.
Well, that's my time for this episode of the Undrafted Podcast. Thank you to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for blessing me with the gifts, talents, and resources to do this podcast. Thank you to my good friend Vanessa Brown from August Gray Real Estate. Check out her website, realtybyv.com. Hit her up and let her help you on your way to home ownership. And remember, you can follow the Undrafted Podcast on Instagram at the Undrafted Podcast or on Twitter at the Undrafted Pod. And remember, do your best and let God handle the rest. Be blessed.